I flip you off a book. Yeah, so there you are. What do you want?
And partying my ass off. I quit college and I came up here to Reno and got a job at Harris.
So what was your major then? Was that...
Oh, business.
Oh, okay. So that wasn't when you were in for broadcasting, or...
No, I got broadcasting at ITT Tech.
Oh, no shit. I didn't even know that they offered that. They might not now.
I got a 2-year degree in 1 year.
Wow. Well, and it helps when you're interested in something, too. Like, you can really fucking grind it out when it's something you're passionate about, and something you like.
They taught me both radio and TV. I had taken speech in high school.
Oh, okay.
I didn't take a speech class, but I joined the debate team.
Oh, wow.
And when you join the debate, you also, the teacher or the lady who was running the speech, or when we would go out and compete against other schools, she got me to go into other things. Like I won an award for oratory. I gave a speech to this crowd of, I forget who, but they gave me an award because I was the best at oratory.
Cool.
I could stand up in front of a crowd and give a 10-minute speech, and I was really good at giving oratory. Extemp is another one. Now at Extemp, you'd go into a room, and the judge would be there, and he'd have a bowl, and he'd hand the bowl to you, and you'd reach in, you get a slip of paper, and they'd say, "How do you feel about this?" It'd be like, give a speech about Sarah Palin.
So just a hat of topics, essentially. You got to pull from the hat and talk about it for 10 minutes.
Just give a speech about Donald Trump running for re-election.
Nice.
And you turn around.
That's a really good exercise.
And they'd give you like 2 minutes to think about a 10-minute speech, and you'd have to turn around and off the top of your head, you'd have to give them a 10-minute speech about what you think about Donald Trump running for a second term as president.
That's fucking
and
awesome.
So that's why I can, off the top of my head, I can give you I can rap off about nothing or about anything.
Right. Just any topic. Right.
Let me see. This is, I see it's raining outside, so this is by the door. This is by the doors. Riders of the storm.
Right, and that's what I mean. Like, you play to your environment, you know. It's fucking got a nice.
You play what you got. You cue it up. Boom, boom, boom.
Hell yeah.
And like today, I was listening to 106.5, and this guy, one song ends, and he comes to that. This is Randy Smith here at 106.5. All right, this is Celebration Day by Cool and Digging, or Celebration Day by what? Then it starts up. It's like he stopped the musical flow to say who he was at 106.5. Then he starts, but you should have just cued one song into the next.
Well, you need a block, you know, that way people can kind of get into a vibe.
81 degrees outside. You know today's the start of spring, so let's have a celebration. This is Celebration Day by Cool and the Gang.
Like, not every song needs an intro and an explanation, you know, like.
You lead into the song for a reason. Let's have a celebration. This is Celebration Day by Cool and the Gang. Celebrate good times. Come on. You lead into your song for a reason.
Right.
And you don't stop the flow of the music, because people are like into the music and then they gotta stop and listen to you. No, they don't want to stop the flow of the freaking. You gotta.
Especially if you don't have substance. It's like, don't stop it for no reason. Like, you know, stop to maybe throw in a segment of something important, but
you stop if there's been an earthquake. You stop if something's on fire. You stop if a nuclear bomb is coming. Okay.
Not just to hear yourself talk, Rick.
Yeah. All right. And if you stop, you better sound freaking good. Hi, this is David Blair, and I want to tell you about the nuclear bomb about to hit.
Yeah, even if you're talking about a nuclear bomb, you got to be able to match the flow of the vibe that you set with the previous tune. Yeah, I hate to interrupt this music flow, but you ought to know nuclear bomb is coming, ladies and gentlemen.
Ladies and gentlemen, I hate to tell you this.
We're going to wrap up this music block, duck and cover.
See, but this is what I like about living here. Tucson, Arizona has one of the largest Air Force bases in the world. They got they store all the jets and everything for the Air Force, the Marines.
That's a big juicy target.
So yeah, so that base is bound to get hit with 1 or 2 large nuclear bombs. So
right.
Tucson's going to get fried.
Yeah, fuck that.
What are they going to drop a bomb on out here?
Nothing. Not for at least, you know, 100-mile radius. Either way, we're good.
So if you're deep underground and you got your food stashed away, fuck New York.
That's all you need. Yeah, right. What do you need it for?
New York's gone. Too bad about them peoples.
Hey, they choose to live in a, I mean, if you don't know already that New York's got a target on its back, then where have you been for the last 23 years?
I can't live among all those, only a few ways out of town that you know everyone's going to fill. It's going to get.
Well, and that's the thing too. If I was looking hypothetically to attack a city and do the most damage, how easy would it be to cut off the flow of traffic that could even leave the fucking place? It's an island. You know what I mean? You could cut off the fucking.
In a nuclear war, a submarine is going to surface somewhere out in the ocean, and they're going to fire a stealth missile at New York.
It's full of government billionaires.
Like Washington's gone in 30 seconds.
Easily.
New York's gone in just a couple of minutes.
But
the whole East Coast is going to get lit up before anyone even knows what's happening.
But New York is pretty close. If they drop a nuclear bomb, we will see side effects. I mean, obviously the entire Earth would see side effects of a nuclear bomb, because if you drop a bomb big enough, it causes a nuclear winter. Obviously, it puts enough sediment up into the atmosphere, blocks the sun. I mean, so that's what they're worried about with Yellowstone.
Did you see that? You see that war? The war that's going on right now.
What, over in fucking Ukraine?
No.
Russia?
Over in Israel.
Yeah, right. That's the Hamas and all that shit. Palestine.
How, Iran fired a bunch of missiles at Israel. And
Really?
Almost all of them got shot down.
By who?
By Israel.
Oh, really? Well, that's because we're giving them a bunch of fucking money, right?
Well, we're giving them the weapons they need to fight missiles coming in. Iran fired like 300 missiles and drones at Israel one night, and 90% of them got shot down. They've got a thing called the Iron Dome over Israel.
I have heard of that, yeah.
Joe can't talk about what he did in the Army. When Joe volunteered to go in the Army, you go in for basic training and they give you the ASVAB.
Right.
And when Joe took his ASVAB, he did like me. Joe did so well on the ASVAB, they said, "Whoa, soldier, come here."
You don't need to be on the ground floor doing stupid shit and dying.
Yeah. Everyone else is going over to Iraq. We need you for something, Joe.
You've got brains.
Yeah, exactly.
You're smarter.
Yeah.
Too smart to die on the ground.
Yeah, we want to talk to you about your ASVAB, son. Right. Come here. So Joe went into something that he can't talk about. It's THAAD. Theater High Altitude Air Defense.
So like missile tracking and all that shit.
Yeah, so there's an Iron Dome over the United States.
Right, okay.
And nothing can penetrate the Iron Dome over the United States. So you saw how they took down 90% of the missiles flying into Israel from Iran.
Yeah.
ICBMs that Russia or China fire at us. Joe was stationed in Guam. Which was, Joe.
My geography's terrible, but
it's
close enough.
It's south of Japan. Okay, basically he was stationed in a Pacific island.
Oh wow.
All right. So when he was off duty, he had nothing to do except put on a bathing suit and go sit on the beach in the Pacific.
Yeah, you should have soaked that up.
Yeah. So he did his hitch or two, and then he said, "Oh fuck this, I'm done with this." It's like, Joe, you could have made a career.
Oh, you could have retired doing that shit for sure. You'd have been a fucking,
He's either there or in Hawaii or something. Yeah.
Well, not only that, but also doing something like, you've got, essentially some top secret credentials. You got some fucking potential to advance into something very serious. He could have been fucking CIA or something, what I mean? You're smart about it.
He could not talk about what he did over there because everything he did was fucking top secret.
Right, everything's classified.
You can't ask Joe about what he did. All I know is it was THAAD, Theater High Altitude Air Defense. Iron Dome shit. He cannot see. That's all they'll say.
Yep, designed to intercept and destroy short-range rockets and mortars.
Short range,
it's
and also high range.
Blocked thousands.
As the ICBM is starting to re-enter the atmosphere, they fire missiles off of cruisers out at sea, and they take them out. Bam.
Let's see.
That's how Israel's Iron Dome works, and the United States has an Iron Dome.
Coordinate shipments. Already alerted. Already coordinated. Since when can we just scale up mid-cycle? Since we brought in BDO.
People who know BDO.
BDO.
And so Now that they created the space defense or the space force,
Yeah.
Joe would have been transferred into that.
How fucking cool would that be?
Yeah. See, if Joe had really applied himself, Joe could have made some rank.
So, this is a video on how it works.
Iron Dome missile defense system, a land-based system that intercepts and destroys short-range rockets and mortars. It has become a bedrock of the country's defense since its introduction in 2011. Israeli military said the Iron Dome is currently operating at the same capacity as previous rounds, with a 90% success rate.
That's fucking crazy that works like that.
The interception system works. The system is powered by missile defense batteries, each consisting of 3 main components. These batteries can defend against short-range rocket and mortar attacks within almost 45 miles of the battery. They're also mobile, so they can be moved to where they are needed. First, a radar unit detects an incoming rocket and relays information about its speed and trajectory to the battery's control center. The control center's computers calculate if the rocket is going to hit populated areas. If it is, a missile is fired from the launcher. Each launcher contains 20 interceptor missiles. Each receives constant guidance updates from the control center in its internal radar. The missile destroys the incoming rocket by exploding near it. The goal is to do this far away from populated
Wow, it doesn't even hit it. It actually just explodes just before it hits it.
As of 2021, the defense system had intercepted over 2,400 rockets bound for civilian areas since its launch in 2011, according to an Israeli military spokesperson. During a conflict in 2012, the Iron Dome knocked down 421 rockets launched from Gaza and bound for Israeli cities before a November ceasefire. And during the 2014 war in Gaza, it intercepted 700 rockets fired by Hamas, effectively blunting the group's airfield effect. The United States has provided over $1 billion in funding for the system, and has also bought and is testing 2 Iron Dome batteries of its own. In 2021, concerned about
I was gonna say, like, obviously the United States has to have something like that in place.
Cruisers. Why do you think we invest so much money in our Navy?
Missile batteries on ships. Earlier this year, Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu.
So when did this come out, I wonder? Oh, okay, this is October 2023, so this is pretty relevant then.
We're concerned also with the possibility that systems that we would give to Ukraine would fall into Iranian hands and could be reverse engineered, and we would find ourselves facing Israeli systems used against Israel.
Yeah, that's with anything.
Well, don't give them to anybody.
Well, the problem is whenever the fucking people pull out, they just leave all their equipment and shit. But yeah, they just passed a $61 billion aid package for Ukraine. $61 billion.
We gotta keep giving aid to Ukraine, or Ukraine's gonna fall to Russia.
Why does that affect us, though?
Because after Ukraine falls, then where else is Russia gonna go?
I mean, I guess it depends on who's in office here. I don't know, but I don't think that they have any plans of like taking over the United States. I'd be far more worried about fucking China than I would be about Russia.
Ask Joe. When Joe was in military, in basic training, there was a real emphasis on kill the Chinese.
Oh, I can imagine. I mean, there's nobody scarier than the Chinese. They're not afraid to kill their own people.
China is in the Pentagon's crosshairs.
I would hope. God.
They're expecting a war in the future with China.
Well, that was the big speculation that if they can't pull Trump off the ballot and they can't stop him from running, the only other thing that they could do would be declare war with either Russia or China, which would put a halt to all elections. So there would be no election if we were at war with another country. There's no elections.
There was always elections.
Yeah.
During World War II, there was an election.
Well, I think it has to be declared. I don't know if it's martial law exactly, but something like that. That says that we're in a state of war and no positions of power can change place.
Yeah, if the Democrats want to declare martial law and put a hold on everything,
right?
And then Biden takes over as like a semi-dictator. Yeah.
Well, we all know he's just a puppet anyway. Biden ain't really running anything. Somebody's telling him what to fucking do.
Yeah, but
I feel like in most cases when you're the president, that's probably how it is.
I'll tell you, Google this. Here's what I want you to Google. Project 2025.
So I've actually never heard of this, which is surprising because I
Oh, you better read Project
devil deep
2025.
into the conspiracy theories and shit.
No, Trump published this. This is what Trump wants to do. If Trump's
Really?
elected. This is Trump's
Alright,
plan.
so this
for
says-
this is Trump's plan for when he becomes president.
The far right has made public its plans for an ideal America. Excuse this ad. Let's see.
When
If-
Trump becomes president, I'm going to do this.
If one of their allies wins the 2024 presidential election in its 2025 presidential transition project, Project 2025 is superheaded by the far right think tank Heritage Foundation and supported by more than 80 organizations, many well known for their extreme positions and for pushing hate and Christian nationalism. The authors and supporters of Project 2025 claim this plan will, quote unquote, rescue the country from elite rule and woke cultural warriors. Let's see, try to just simplify here. Bringing together conservative allies with a common goal to take the country back from radical left. Let's see. Yeah, I've literally never heard of this, but I'm sure anything that I watch would probably filter this out. It would strip the rights and protections from LGBTQ plus people, immigrants, women, and people of color. It would dismantle much of the federal government and replace our apolitical civil service with far-right partisans. It is already training in anticipation of a power shift.
Yeah.
It would end attempts
He's
to
gonna,
enhance equality.
he's got rules. He's got rules he wants to put in place. He's going to fire like 10,000 people in the government and replace them with all these people he's already grooming who are like loyal to Trump. He learned from his first term what he wants to do, and he wants to gut the government and he put his people in power in all sorts of positions.
Well, and I have heard, you know who that Vivek Ramaswamy is?
Yeah.
He's said things like that. I definitely heard him say things like that. He wants to close down a lot of these, federal agencies and things like that.
And then he's going to take care of the DOJ so that he can't be prosecuted for anything. And
Trump has been identified as a key factor in American democratic backsliding. The Stockholm-based International Institute for Democracy and Electoral Assistance founded in 2021.
getting to Trump. What did I hear about this? What?
Says the U.S. fell victim to authoritarian tendencies itself and was knocked down a significant number of steps on the democratic scale. This institute pointed to Trump and called his baseless questioning of the legitimacy of the 2020 election results a historic turning point that undermines fundamental trust in the electoral process. But almost everybody, when they've lost an election, has questioned the results. I mean, so realistically, even whenever Hillary Clinton lost, she said that he wasn't a legitimate president. That it's something. Whatever. I don't know if she said it was rigged,
she didn't
but
sue anyone in court.
no, it was he suing the electoral whatever agencies.
He tried to have the election overturned by having fake electors show up.
Okay. As I say, because questioning the legitimacy of an election isn't illegal. You know what I mean? Just saying that whatever it was rigged. There's not. You're allowed to say that.
People are going to go to prison because they went to Washington and tried to overturn the election.
This says the project especially demonizes the transgender community, equating transgenderism and transgender ideology with pornography.
Pornographic, something around pornography.
Oh yeah, pornography.
Immigrants are demonized with false claims. And he's going to set up camps and deport 10 or 11 million illegals.
Well, and see that too, that scares people too, but at the same time, if we're talking about people who have come into the country illegally and people that don't legally have a right to be here, they should be deported, and we've always deported people who were not here legally and not had citizenship.
Camps to hold 10 or 11 million people are bigger than the camps that Nazi Germany had.
Well, they're doing that now, though. Look at all these fucking, sanctuary cities and all this stuff. Well, I mean, those people were just fucking out in tents on the fucking streets. They're putting them up in hotels. They actually kicked kids out of schools in New York so that they could house illegal immigrants in the school.
So
like,
how the kids going to school?
They're not. That's the fucked up. That's what I mean. Like, they're just, education, psh. I mean, there's a line, obviously. Like, we're not talking about deporting the lady that lives across the street because she's Russian or whatever. I mean, we're talking about people who snuck into the country, people who are exploiting, people who are criminals, things like that. I'm all for, cleaning up the streets. I mean, there's too many people living in this country on the streets anyway. So, there's always a line. Mark Meadows. Ben Shapiro.
Scroll farther down. Plan calls for altering the
I'm not quite sure where you're at here.
Go back up. Altering the Constitution.
I don't know why I can't find where you're at.
The plan is to alter the Constitution through amendments using Article 5, which empowers states to call for a constitutional convention. The article reads, on the application of the legislature, 2/3 of the several states shall call a convention proposing amendments. It should be noted that almost no rules apply to Article 5 convention, and its consequences could be dire for our democracy and our civil human rights. So far, 28 states, 6 shy of the required 34, have called for a constitutional convention aimed at sharply reducing federal powers through the Convention of States campaign or other convention campaigns. COS has passed its resolution in 19 states and has had its legislation introduced in enough states to achieve the convention should they all pass it. On its site, COS wants to limit the powers of the federal government, achieve fiscal responsibility, and impose term limits. In their simulated conventions, they agreed to seek to restrict the federal government's discretionary spending authority, land ownership rights, and ability to regulate interstate commerce.
I mean,
it would also remove from the federal government the powers to enforce any federal law or regulation with which the majority of the state legislatures disagree. Unbelievably radical, this would allow a simple majority of states to band together to rescind any act of Congress, the President, or a federal agency. Furthermore, it gives states' legislatures exclusive power to nullify federal laws and regulations, making it clear that state executive and judicial branches shall have no authority to or involvement in this process.
It's wild. I mean, if that's true, I mean that would be nuts. That if state, officials could, essentially have the majority and could outvote a federal law. I mean, who knows what the hell that would mean? That'd be wild.
Be back to a collection of states who are doing whatever.
You might as well do away with federal law anyway and just have states fucking make their own laws.
Just be a loose confederation of states,
right?
Do whatever the fuck we want,
right? And obviously that would be pure fucking turmoil.
Before the 13 states came together and formed a unified country in 1776, we're like 1775 again. It's the 1770. It's Project 1775, not 2025.
Yeah. Holy fuck.
I don't know what they're doing there. They're crazy.
Yeah, I've never heard of this. This is wild. So who is this? Who's the Global Project Against? Okay, so this is just I would imagine some nonprofit against hate and extremism that posted about this. But yeah, I actually have never heard this. This is pretty wild. Far right playbook for Americans. Definitely encourage anybody to read that. That's kind of wild because I mean, obviously, like there's a lot of things that I agree with and disagree with on both sides. But I mean, like I try my best to just know every bit of information and then kind of weed out the bullshit later. You know, like, because I don't really know. I mean, like, I'm not a big fan of what the Democratic Party's doing and have been doing. You know, I mean, Trump was a nice change of pace, but obviously there was a line to be drawn there. You know, and I could only hope that if he did have a second term, that, you know, he would have learned from what he did the first time, you know, and do things differently.
And
But
that's why he wants to do this.
right, but obviously, like, it's like when somebody goes into prison, you can either go into prison and learn to be a better person, or you can go in and learn to be a better criminal. You
But
know,
that's the other thing. Before
so if he's learned.
elected, he might be found guilty of several felonies. Like, he's up for 34 felonies right
Right.
now. If that trial is over before November,
Oh, and they're trying. They want to push it and push it and push it.
he'll be sentenced to go to prison, Donald Trump. I'm not voting for someone who's going to be sentenced to prison.